And now we have a live phone interview with Kun Weerapat Pariyawong, the international lawyer expert. สวัสดีค่ะ Kun Weerapat.
สวัสดีครับ
Hello. Kun Weerapat, there have been moves from the academic community from Chulalongkorn University to sign up people, the flood victims, to sue the government agencies responsible for managing the floods. How is your view on this? And is it legally possible for this?
Well, first of all, I have not seen the original proposal by Dr. Narong of the Faculty of Economics at Chulalongkorn University, but from media reports, I understand that he's working with the Lawyers Council of Thailand, which is an independent professional body, to assist the citizens and the people who suffers from flood management to sue, to bring cases before the Thai courts. And the answer is it is possible. But the question is, which court are you going to file the case? From the media reports, I understand that the group is trying to file at any courts possible, and that would be three courts. The first one is the criminal court, the second one is the civil court, and the third one is the administrative court.
Now, which court of justice should they be filed then? Should these lawsuits be filed?
Well, in my opinion, it is theoretically possible to file the claims to the three courts, but I think in the case of the criminal court and the civil court, it is quite difficult. It is almost impossible, in my opinion. For the criminal court, in order to bring the criminal proceedings, you need to establish the intent, the intention on the part of the authorities to conduct the crimes. For example, you have to establish that the authorities or the government is intentionally destroying or damaging the properties, such as the houses or the cars of the plaintiffs. The mere act of managing the water and not being able to prevent the water from flooding the houses or the cars wouldn't be sufficient to establish such malintent, or the intention to act or to refrain from acting to protect the properties in accordance with the law. That ground also requires special intent. For example, the intent to harm the plaintiffs or the intent to corrupt. To gain personal benefits, to gain something in return for harming someone, or to ignore somebody's houses, which I think is hardly provable in this current situation.
To show the court all this intent, what sort of evidence would this academics have? Would you say testimony of the people that are affected by it, or it has to be sort of a hard evidence?
Well, of course, they will provide. They will need to provide, since they are filing the criminal proceedings. The burden of proof will be on the plaintiffs. So they would have to provide the sufficient evidence showing that the government intentionally harms the plaintiffs, which I think is very unlikely. I don't think we are thinking in the scenarios where the government is having an evil intention to harm any properties. So now, I think it's very difficult to file criminal proceedings, and as well as for the civil proceedings, I've heard from media reports that they are considering claiming damages for the loss of business opportunities. So because of the flood, they cannot go to work, they cannot open and operate their factories, their businesses. This is also tricky because we are dealing with the action by the government acting in the official capacity, to use the precise terms, that would be the administrative capacity to manage the flood for the public interest. And I don't think that falls under the relationship between private parties to sue for damages for such loss of business opportunities. So the last possible ground that I think is likely to be the most possible way is to go to the administrative court. Now, when we talk about the administrative court, we have to understand that this is about. There are various ways to bring the case to administrative court. From media reports, I feel that the group is focusing mainly on demanding damages, demanding the government to pay compensation for the failure to manage the flood situation. That is also possible. That is what we call the administrative tort, or to cause injury to the plaintiffs. But in order to claim for damages, it is tricky. You need to establish that the government is acting intentionally or acting carelessly to cause the damages to the cars, to the houses, to the factories of the plaintiffs. And in this type of situation, it is quite clear, in my opinion, that the government is not ignoring the problems in order to let someone suffer the damages or to manage water in such ways to cause damages to anyone.
Right.
So I think the most logical way to bring the case before the administrative court is to ask for the review of administrative action, whether the action has been fair and reasonable, whether the action has been equal on the part of different people living in different areas. We are seeing problems such as the big bag scenario where citizens living on one side is feeling that they are being treated unfairly, they are being discriminated in order to save the privileged ones living on the other side to stay dry and safe. I think that's a very likely ground for the petitioners to ask for the review by the administrative court.
I see.
Now, let's not forget that when we ask for the review by the administrative court, it's not going to be a straight yes or straight no. It's not going to be a straight guilty or not guilty like in the movies. The court will have quite a lot of room of discretion to consider the entire scenarios. For example, the court could decide whether the measures employed by the government have been proportional in order to safeguard the public interest. That is just one consideration. The other consideration would be whether the act itself is an administrative act or is it simply an act of policy, an act of general government acts which falls outside the review of the court. So there are still various steps for the arguments to be advanced by the lawyers who are representing this case. I have only 3 comments to suggest to the viewers at home. The first comment is that we have to be realistic about bringing cases against the government in this particular difficult situation. It's not going to be a straight yes or no to the court. The criminal and the civil proceedings will be quite difficult to be accomplished, and even for the administrative proceedings, there's a lot of wiggle room for the court to take into account the various considerations. The second comment I like to leave with the audience is that when we talk about bringing a case before the court, we are not only aiming for the guilty verdict, or we're not only aiming for demanding money or damages from the government. The benefits of filing the case before the court is also about finding the truth, finding the facts, setting out the arguments and the information from both sides of the parties. So this is also about the transparency and accuracy of information. We are dealing with a lot of theories and assumptions on both sides. Some people are saying that my house is flooded simply because they want to save someone, the privileged few on the other side. And the people on the other side are saying that even if you let the flood runs through Bangkok, everyone is equally flooded. It's not going to solve any problem. It's going to worsen the situation. So by bringing a case before the court, especially the administrative court, who has the inquisitorial power, that is, the court can demand the government to present documents, or they can demand expert testimony from academics and professionals. The inherent benefits that the people can expect, no matter who wins or loses at the end, is to hear the truth. What is the truth and the facts behind all these management? And I think it can bring certain peace of mind to the people living on both sides of the barricade, that whether the government has played its situations fairly.
Right.
And the final comment that perhaps I might leave for the food for thought for everyone thinking about filing the case is that to demand justice from this flooding situation, one need not stop at the court. We can also demand the government to set up something similar to the Independent Commission of Inquiry, something similar to what happened at Ratchaprasong, the 91, 92 bodies, the sad, tragic stories that happened in the center of Bangkok. Academics have proposed the idea that perhaps we should also have an independent commission of inquiry to inquire into the situation prior to and during the flooding. What led to this serious situations? What could have been done better? and what could we learn from this management of the situation. If we look at the commission set up by the government right now, it is about forward-looking. It is about looking towards the future, rebuilding the country, rebuilding infrastructure, preventing future floods. But I have not seen or heard the government talking or proposing ideas about looking back to the past and look what have been done wrong, what mistakes have been made, and what we can learn from it. So the people who are gathering together to file the case before the court can also demand the government to set up or to allow the existing independent commission of inquiry to perform their task to cover the flood issues as well, and that is also to bring the truth, the facts to the society.
Okay. Well, Ajahn Veerapat, thank you so much for taking your time to share your thoughts and giving us all this information.
My pleasure always. Thank you, ครับ คุณวิจิตรา คุณพัสุรัน
Thank you.